in today's lecture, basically, we will be trying to cover two main things: having multiple activities within Android app, meaning that you would have 2 to 3 different activities or pages or layouts. So you click on one button, another page comes on, you click on another button, another page comes in, and you navigate from back to forth. You create a back button and goes back to the previous activity. So how we create an app that works like an app, having multiple pages and options available. So wherever you click, something happens. So that's called multi-activity window. And then we will also be working on something called OnClick listener. Previously, we have done OnClick button event, which basically means that we create a function and we call it OnClick. This type of technique is an old technique which is not depreciated, meaning that it is not now recommended that you don't use this technique. Instead of this, you provide a proper action listener class. So in this class, we will be trying to cover these two things. And in order to do that, we will develop a one complete app of, for example, a tourism app. Okay, let's do that. So we will be developing a complete tourism app of Pakistan. Not in terms of whole complete, but we will start and then you can continue. I will share the source code with you as well. So what do we do is we create basic features and then we click on it and let's see how it goes. And we will have multiple windows and multiple action listeners and then multiple information pages can be displayed. Okay. If you're here for the first time, please don't forget to visit my page and subscribe the channel. You will find that on my channel, there are more than 500 video lectures based on PHP, mail scripting, Maya embedded language, 3D graphics, from developing HTML, CSS, JavaScript to working on Android, Photoshop, multimedia technology, and so on and so forth. So these tutorials will be very helpful and very productive for you. So don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell icon and receive notifications regularly. So let's begin. We come back to our main Android Studio. New project. So let's create on a new project. Okay. We again start with an empty activity because see this there is a basic activity available here. What this activity will do is that when you click on this activity, it will go on the next page and it has a back button already. We can work with this, but I want to have my own basic empty activity. Okay. So we start from here and we'll see how you can create your own activities. And then for future reference, you can start with basic activity as well. The same thing can be done from this bottom navigation activity as well. Then there are multiple buttons at the bottom and then you can use this to create multiple activities. Okay. Now by here activity, we mean that one screen that you are displaying is called one activity. Then you click on next screen comes, or you click on a button, the next screen comes. You click on an option, login, and the next screen comes. So the next screen that comes is considered as a next activity within Android. So by multi-activity or multiple activities or options, basically we mean that we have multiple window user interface being transferred from one another. Okay. So जब हम सॉफ्टवेयर पे काम कर रहे हैं तो हमें एक स्क्रीन पे नहीं, हम मल्टीपल स्क्रीन पे काम कर रहे होता है. ठीक है. तो मल्टी एक्टिविटी का बेसिकली मतलब ही है कि आप एक एक्टिविटी पे नहीं, एक स्क्रीन पे नहीं, मल्टीपल स्क्रीन पे काम कर रहे हो, मल्टीपल लेआउट्स पे काम कर रहे हो. तो जब ओके नेक्स्ट कर रहे हो तो नेक्स्ट स्क्रीन आ रही है, तो ये मल्टी एक्टिविटी विंडो कहलाती है हमारे पास, सादा लफ्जों में. So we start with basic activity, empty activity, sorry. Empty activity से start किया. I will write BS IT morning so that I know that these projects I have done in your class. I have been naming them the same convention. You can name anything. For example, park tour. मैंने एक app बना दूँ. Okay. और फिर again package name. Do ensure that you have changed this from example to your project folder name. Okay. By default, again, you would have example, change it to any particular project name. In this case, BSID morning. So all my packages are with the same name because we will be uploading it. I will also hopefully show you by today or tomorrow, next class, that how you can download that APK in your mobile and install it as well. So for that, it's recommended you have this. Then location, I have the same thing. I will be using Java and SDK minimum 5 lollipop. Let's just create this project. Okay, so now once we wait for this thing to happen, the idea is very simple, that we will try to create a multi-activity window for a tourism application. For example, the park tour, it will list multiple places. You click on a certain place and then it will tell you the different information about that particular place. And then you can have as many information displayed for that place as you want. Currently, obviously, the data we will put will be static data. We will not go into database as yet. Hopefully within few more classes after that, we will be switching to database as well. And then we save the data in a database and then you can retrieve. What that will allow us to do, it will allow us to reduce the amount of activities we create. and the activities can be fetched at runtime from the database, and one activity can fulfill the entire process. Okay. Now, in our tourist app, basically idea, like I said, is to having multiple activities. For that, we work on something called OnClick events. Means when user clicks on a particular widget, particular component, what should happen? The next activity should load. For that, we use something called action listener. Now, we used a method in previous class. However, that method you would find is considered as depreciated technique. It's recommended that you provide a proper action listener class for your OnClick event, and that's more suitable for Java to execute. Okay. So we will try to do that as soon as this loads up. And along with that, we will also try to focus on creating something called intents that allows us to navigate from one activity between another activity. Okay. So let's just wait. Challenging. Hopefully this is loaded up. Now let's just come back into our code. Now, activity main, that's one reason it's called activity, because this is one screen is one activity, and you can switch between multiple activities. So the more screens you want to create, basically you are creating more activities. So now we are back at this point. Now what was again, the idea is we create a very simple tourism application that has various different aspects to it. Okay. Now, in order to do that, what we need to do is we need to create some user interface. Okay. So first thing I do is I get rid of this hello world button. I don't need that. We have constraint layouts. I think should we be using constraint layouts? Chalo, let's try one more thing. Okay. We in previous class हमने constraint layouts भी use किए हुए थे. Constraint layout basically again वही थे that when we create a component, you can place it anywhere on the screen. That's one thing. And then basically you need to do a constraint with the environment to it. This is extremely useful for a very complex UI. So once you have a very complex UI, usually like shopping applications they have lots of buttons and options and features. We go prefer constraint layout. However, if for a simple layout, we can go into layouts and we can choose something called linear layout. Okay. In this case, let me just go inside and use a linear layout. So to switch between linear layout, you can do two things. Either I delete this, click and drag and use linear layout, or sometimes it's what we do is we go inside the split code view from right this corner. There is written this layout, constraint layout, Android layout here. So make it a habit of going into a code once and often as well. What Android Studio 2021 edition has done, that it has provided a fantastic way of integrating the source code with actual front-end panels. So you don't have to meddle too much with the code. But being familiar with the code helps a lot, even XML code for user interface. So we can delete it and drag and drop and create that interface. But the easiest way to do is we go inside the split code view. So what this split gives us is the XML file. Inside this, you will find it says androidx.constraint layout.widget.constraint layout. Okay. I delete this statement and let me write linear LA layout. So as soon as I write, this line pops up and I click on enter. Done. And at the bottom, I have my linear layout available. So what this will now basically mean that my layout has been converted into something called linear layout. For this to be accurately completed, I will need to add one more line here within its code called NDRIOD, Android layout, no, Android orientation, sorry. Android colon orientation is equal to vertical or horizontal. Now, as you can see here, there are two layouts, horizontal and vertical. Horizontal means horizon. So all components will be stacked in a horizon. So if you look into a library bookshelf, all components our books are stacked in a vertical, in a horizontal manner. Okay, so all books in a library are organized in a bookshelf in a horizontal manner. Vertical means on stack on top of each other. So on top of each other, everything is organized. So vertical will mean all components will be on top of each other. Horizontal means will be aligned like this. Horizontal will be mean aligning like this. So it depends how you want to do that. And you can have inherited nested layouts as well. So like I said, we will be going slowly on various different components. So what we do is very simply, for now, I will just go with a vertical. Okay, because it will give me a very reasonably appropriate structure. So now if I come back into my component tree, you would find that I have a linear layout. Again, I can do the thing previously. I would have deleted this, drag and drop the vertical layout and put it here. But like I've said, it's recommended that you sometimes visit the code so you know what's happening within XML as well. It becomes very useful, especially when we want to duplicate certain activities. Okay, so you know that you have to copy which part of code. So now I have a linear activity, which is this linear activity. So the next components that I create will be inside this linear activity, this linear layout. Okay, so I now close it, go back into design view. I have my design view created. Let's just come back here inside the common buttons, widgets. The first thing I need is an image. So what I can do is very quickly go on to the Google and in fact Google Images, because now in order to design UI, sometimes you use images as well. Okay, so in this case I said go, sorry, what's happening? PAKISTN Pakistan map, and let me go and for example select this map, this map, this map, this map, this map. I think this map is good. So I select this particular map. Let me go into it and I think save image as. This is already a high resolution, and within my, now I need to save this project within my resource folder. This image has to be saved inside my resource folder. So for now, what I do is I go inside my Android app class. Not this one. I think this one. And oops. IMAGS images and park map. Okay. So we have one park map available. I found this 3D as well very useful. I can use that. So let me just save it for next class or future reference. Park map 3D. Done. So now I have an image available. Now again, what you need to do is you need to ensure that you have this image available in your Explorer. I right click, copy this image, go inside your Android Studio, inside your resource folder, inside your drawables, right click and just paste this thing. Okay. So once you paste this, choose a destination directory message will pop up. Make sure you select drawable, click OK. This will ask you for a file name. Now, one thing I've heard is that you don't use PNG with your Android. Somehow it creates a problem for whatever reason. Okay. So what I do is, okay, let's just test this. Okay. Park map, and then you don't give spaces in the names as well. So make sure if there are spaces, you remove the names and you give it a small letter park map if it's here. So what I now do is, in order to use this image, I will go inside image, drag and drop the image on your viewport and see if park map is drawing here. If this is available, I said click OK, and now my map is available. Now, because this is a linear layout, what linear layout means that all components are automatically stacked on top of each other. Okay, based on their size, how much you want to do. So it will automatically be organized in a very efficient manner. So I said, perfect. What I really need now is I need this image to be a little bit bigger. So I will click on this image to be a little bit bigger. Problem is I have a lots of white spaces. You can remove these white spaces by simply going into edit. And for example, if I can edit this image, but this is already a very low resolution image, right? Okay, so we need a higher resolution image. This is better. So I right click, edit this image. Hopefully this is reasonably good. And then I select and let me crop out the additional unwanted areas. Crop this, save this, and let's just copy this, bring this image here, go inside drawable, paste it, select drawable folder, click OK. and I will give park map 3D. Rename it without spaces, small letters, click OK. My image is there. I select this image, I delete it, I go inside image, drag and drop it again. This time I will select park map 3D, click OK. This is how easy it is. So, and now you can see that image is in much better quality and resolution. This time I will just reduce its size to a little bit. Okay, so I have this thing available. Next, what I need to do is I need to have a button. Now, sometimes we create our buttons from here, but you would find there are apps that will allow you to have a very cool buttons here. So, for example, BUT and button background. Okay, and you will find there are lots of nice and cool and very aesthetic buttons available. Sometimes we use this from FreePick. I think freepick.com. Okay, so you can use a very cool graphics from FreePick as well, and they will allow you to have free images that you can use within your button background. Okay, so if you search, so you can see there are lots of button templates that you can use for your mobile apps. You can use these images as a hotspot button. So when you click on it, something happens. Okay, so to design a UI, you don't always have to depend on the Android Studio. I can take this image, okay, and I can use this as well on top of my button, so that anytime I click on any of the places I want to visit, they become an active link. I can do that. I can crop this image itself, use these 4 components as a separate buttons as well. So there are lots of things in the UI that we can do, but we will do it as we go along. So this is one component. Now I bring the button here because major task is to understand how we create a button and other options. So once we have a button here, let me just increase the size, and we have a button available. Within the button text, I will give a let's visit PAKISTN, Pakistan. Okay, and we would say ENTER, enter. As soon as I press let's visit Pakistan, enter. Let's just move this. Oops. There we go. So now I have a button. It kind of behaves like a splash screen, but it's not a splash screen. So I have a window available and my button is here. I can give a text view. Let me bring a text view at the top. So you would see as soon as I bring the components, automatically all segments are auto adjusting and they are being organized in a linear way, one on top of another. Okay, in a linear stack. So this option is available. Now I will give welcome to Park Tour app. Okay, so this becomes my application name. Then scroll down, text size. I said this text size should be 25 SP. And now you see that automatically the size of each component is adjusting and ensuring that the next component is basically visible. Alignment, I can make it center, make it a little bit more bold. I can change the font and whatever I want to do with this particular segment. Okay, you can do that. You can design the same thing in Photoshop or Illustrator and bring that same component here. Once we are here, now the next task begins. The next task is that once I click on this button, I should be presented with the next screen that has various different components and which allow me to have UI of places, and I click on that and something happens. So for that, what we need to do is we go inside the button and we go inside main activity. Okay, so we select the button, we go inside the main activity. Now, previously what we did, we selected a button and we went on the OnClick event here and we gave it a name directly. It's not recommended to a certain point, especially when you're working with multiple activities. So what we do is we write something called an actual listener class that allows us to control the the said action of a particular button. So inside this main activity class, we come here. Now what we do is we write something called an event code. Okay, where's my code now? So first thing we say BUTTUN button event. Okay, so I declare a button class. Now as soon as I do that, it says the Android Vision button needs to be imported. So I click here and alter enter. As soon as I press alter enter, hopefully okay, button is not imported. It should have been imported. Okay, sorry, alter enter. So alter enter, error comes pop-ups, import class. So this class is imported. Okay. So if you get an error, one way of resolving is using Alt Enter key. Okay. Once we have a button available, now we go scroll down. We created a method called protected void on. Okay, sorry. Okay, on create is already there, right? So on create, let's just use this. So I drive this button and let me put it above on create. And inside my on create event, what I will do now is I will create something called button is equal to find view by ID r.id dot bu and button name. Okay. Now what is my button name? If I go inside my main activity, this is my button. और इस बटन का जो नाम है हम दे देते हैं फॉर एग्जाम्पल BTN स्टार्ट या BTN विजिट. ठीक है, तो बटन विजिट हमने इसका नाम दे दिया. बटन विजिट का मतलब ये हुआ कि नाउ माय बटन हैज दैट पर्टिकुलर नेम. नाउ इफ आई गो एंड आई एम इनसाइड माय मेन एक्टिविटी एंड आई विल राइट BTN VISIT visit. Okay, so hopefully there is no error now. Once this is fine, so what we did now is we declared a public class button, and within this button, sorry, in event. Okay, yes. So on this event, we have said that find view by ID button. So find that button from my layout, assign that button to my event method. Okay. So in fact, let's just use this BTN event. That's why I use certain keywords, because it allows me pretext allows me to understand what I'm trying to do at which time. So BTN event would be fine. Once we are here, now basically what we need to say is we said BTN event dot set on click listener. Okay, so as soon as you write button dot set on click listener, this message pops up. So I select this message, press enter, event is completed. Now I say new view on click listener. Oops, what happened? Yes. Okay. So you see this, once I write on click listener, automatically this entire code pops up, creating everything for me. Now what this basically means is that we have created a listener event for my code. This means that first हमने एक बटन बनाया और ये इसके अंदर एक्टिविटी जावा के अंदर, तो ये जावा की क्लास का बटन बनाया. फिर उससे जो XML में बटन बनाया था वो हमने इंपोर्ट किया. So the button that we created in XML, we imported that button. Then we said that now on that button, set on click listener. So now assign a listener to it. This is different from what we had done previously. Now what we are doing it, we are asking the Android app to listen to that particular click, that when the user performs a particular click. This is a proper way of doing an on-click event. Once you do that, it will automatically pop and give you all of this code. New on view dot on click listener. View is the main Android view. On that view, listen to a user's click. Once user clicks on it, execute public on click event. Now, basically within this method, we will write whatever we want to write. So for example, I can write toast dot make text. Let me just use this. And I say BUTT on button CLICKD click. Let's just test it works first. Then comma toast dot length can be short and dot show. Okay, so toast is, again, we have done it previously as well. It's just like a listener. Why there is an again error here? Changes semantic. Maybe I use get application context. Now it's okay. Okay. So now toast is something that we have used previously as well. In previous examples, we have used this. This time what we did is we didn't use this, but we have used something called get application context. What get application context method does is that it will get the current context of application in which this method is being invoked. In other words, basically, this is called sometimes as an anonymous methods. These methods or anonymous classes, these are executed at runtime. So see, new is a keyword that creates a new class. So this happens in Java कि हम जब एक्शन लिसनर देते हैं तो हम एक anonymous class रन टाइम पे बनाते हैं. तो ये सारा कोड जावा का है और जावा में ये रन टाइम क्लास बनती है न्यू से. अगर आपने पहले की हुई एक्सीलेंट, इफ यू हैवंट डन इट doesn't really matter. What we need to understand is this is the method that will listen to our onClick event and perform a certain action. Okay, that action needs to have the context of the current application, that in which context this current button has been clicked. Once I do that, hopefully now if I run the application, I should be getting the simple button. Okay, so it's running now. So once it is running, let it run in the background. And what I will do in the meantime is that this is one activity. This is considered as one activity that is being built and run and compiled by our Gradle. In order to click on this button and switch to a new screen, I need the second activity. I need to create another activity. And in order to do that, okay, in order to do that, simply we come into our class, right click on here, go inside the new, and you would find there are lots of things we can create. At this moment, we want to create an activity. We click on an activity, and then again, the same initial screen activities are available here. So we can start with all these basic activities already available for us. So in our case, we will say create an empty activity. But I just want to wait till this guy finishes. So once you do that, you will again have a similar screen with another activity on the tabs. And then we need to connect these two activities together using something called intent. ठीक, जब तक ये खुले मैं दोबारा कोड को थोड़ा समझा देता हूं. अभी हमने यहाँ पे क्या किया कि हमने एक बटन इवेंट बनाया. ये बटन जावा की क्लास का, ठीक है. तो जावा की क्लास से एक बटन इवेंट ऑब्जेक्ट बना दिया ऑन क्रिएट से बाहर, ताकि मैं इसको बाद में दूसरे इवेंट्स के साथ भी एसोसिएट कर सकूं, दूसरे फंक्शन के साथ भी. फिर प्रोटेक्टेड ऑन क्रिएट इवेंट आएगा. जैसे इवेंट क्रिएट हो, ऐप आपकी क्रिएट हो, तो हमने उसके ऊपर ही एक्शन लिस्टनर डाल दिया. हम अलग से भी ऑन स्टार्ट के ऊपर भी डाल सकते हैं, ऑन रेज्यूम के ऊपर भी डाल सकते हैं. ठीक है, मोस्टली ऑन क्रिएट क्योंकि डिफॉल्ट बना हुआ है, उसी के ऊपर काम चल रहा होता है. फिर इस बटन को जो हमने बनाया था, इसको हमने कहा कि भाई इस बटन के असाइन करो फाइंड व्यू बाय आईडी बटन विजिट. अब बटन विजिट हमने व्यू पे बनाया था, हमने इसको कहा कि जो बटन मैंने बनाया उसको फाइंड करो और ये वाले बटन को असाइन कर दो. तो इस बटन को असाइन हो गया. फिर इस बटन को हमने कहा कि इस बटन के ऊपर जब ऑन क्लिक हो तो एक लिसनर लगा दो. लिसनर मींस एक बंदा जो बैठ कर सुन रहा हो. ठीक है, वो फितना लगा दिया कि भाई जो उसको मुस्तकिल बैठ के सुन रहा हो, जब इस बटन पे कोई यूजर क्लिक करे तो उसके नतीजे में ये वाला एक्शन कोड परफॉर्म होगा. इसको हम जावा की रन टाइम क्लास कहते हैं कि न्यू ऑब्जेक्ट के तहत रन टाइम पे ये इवेंट एग्जीक्यूट होगा, ये क्लास बनेगी. इस क्लास के नतीजे में उस क्लास के अंदर हमने मेथड दिया, ये मेथड अपना एक्शन परफॉर्म करेगा और यहाँ पे डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएगा. दिस इज नोन एज टेक्निकली अ रन टाइम क्लास. ठीक है, और समटाइम्स एज anonymous classes as well. But here what we did is we create a new view. जावा का एक और ऑब्जेक्ट है जो कि यूआई व्यू को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है. उस व्यू के अंदर ऑन क्लिक लिसनर लगा दिया कि उस व्यू में जो जावा की बनी है उस पर देखो कहां बटन प्रेस हुआ. जहां बटन प्रेस हुआ है तो उसके नतीजे में ये वाला ऑन क्लिक इवेंट खुद ही एग्जीक्यूट कर दो. ये थोड़ा सा लंबा तरीका है लेकिन इट्स मोर प्रोफेशनली यूज्ड and it allows us to control lots of things. ठीक, so once we come back into our code you will note कि fantastic मेरी ऐप विजिबल हो गई. Let's visit पाकिस्तान. पहला बटन, मैंने इस बटन पे क्लिक किया, बटन क्लिक का पॉपअप आ गया. ठीक है, अलर्ट मैसेज हमारे पास आ गया. So that means कि ये ऑन क्लिक लिसनर इवेंट मेरा सक्सेसफुली काम कर रहा है. ओके, डन. चलें, once you understand this that my option is available now, if I click on list button, this is working. Now in next I will have to go and create a next activity and assign that activity to the button. And once you understand these two basic fundamental concepts, उसके बाद we just have to create multiple activities. उस पे components रखने, buttons के साथ लिंक करने के. जब यूजर एक पे क्लिक करे तो दूसरा इवेंट क्या हो, दूसरे पे क्लिक करूं तो तीसरा एक्टिविटी क्या हो. ठीक है, it becomes that much easy. So once we are here, we go back inside my activity class, right click here, new activity, and I create my basic or empty activity. Once I click on that, it will ask me what is your activity name. I would say activity underscore city name. Okay, so this becomes my city name. So once I click on Pakistan map, city names pop up. I click on city names and then the information for that city name pop up. So rest information is same. I click on finish and you would find that now you would have two files created for you: activity city name .java and then main activity for that thing. Okay, activity city name XML. Okay, so this was main activity for your main activity. Let me just bring it here first, ताकि थोड़ा सा फजीलत में हो जाए इंसान. उसके बाद यहाँ पे आते हैं. तो ये मेन एक्टिविटी पहली थी, उसकी XML बनी. दूसरी एक्टिविटी हमने बनाई, उसकी हमने XML बनाई. Got it? So now you see that you have a activity city name and activity city name .java. Two files have been created for you. Now again, to create an activity, जो Java का package है, inside Java package we have com, inside this com right click on new. Okay, on this new we go inside and create activity, and we selected an empty activity. You can select any other activity for that matter as well. For now we just go with an empty activity. Once you click on empty activity, you will note that two files are created. Obviously it will ask you for the name. We provided it a name, activity underscore city name. I usually leave it to an activity word. Again, it's like a prefix. It will identify कि हम किस चीज पे काम कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, तो एक्टिविटी मींस कि आपके यूजर की स्क्रीन जो है वो हमारे पास आ गई. इस तरह से आप जितनी एक्टिविटीज स्क्रीन चाहे बना सकते हैं. ठीक है, लाइक आई सेड, आगे चल के हम डेटाबेस के साथ कनेक्ट करेंगे तो फिर उसमें और हमें एडवांटेज मिल जाता है कि कुछ चीजों की बार बार आपको रिपीटेशन नहीं करनी पड़ती. वो एक स्क्रीन बना के उसमें डेटाबेस में यूजर के चॉइसेस के हिसाब से हम लोड कर रहे होते हैं. बहरहाल बात की ऑप्शन है. So now I have another empty activity available. Fantastic for me. So what I do is very quickly, common में आ गए, text view में चले गए, मैंने यहाँ पे text view डाल दिया. ठीक है, again this is constraint layout. I want, if you want any other layout you can use that for that purpose as well. तो मैं एक एक्टिविटी में मैंने linear layout यूज किया था, इसके अंदर मैं constraint layout यूज कर रहा हूँ, मेरी completely अपनी मर्जी. ठीक है, so once I am here, I use इसको हमें फॉन्ट दे देते हैं हम, फॉर एग्जांपल 25 SP. ओके, और इसको भी हमने सेंटर कर दिया, और इसका जो हमने यहाँ पे टेक्स्ट का नाम था SELECT, सेलेक्ट सिटी टू VISIT विजिट. ठीक है, तो सेलेक्ट सिटी टू विजिट, और अगेन यू सी दीज बॉक्सेस. इन बॉक्सेस को पकड़ के हमने इनकी जो थी अपनी इसको बड़ा कर दिया. नाउ अ क्विक trick with constraint layout is that once you have a constraint layout, that means कि for every component you need to ensure that the constraints are set. तो आप मैन्युअली इसको नहीं करो, मैन्युअल करने में मुझे हमेशा ना गड़बड़ होती है. तो ये जो बटन है ना, ये क्या करते हैं कि ये आपके ऑटोमेटिकली एडजस्ट करते हैं कि जहां पे आपने कंपोनेंट रखा है वहीं पर रहते हुए मैं कंस्ट्रेंट्स को फिक्स कर दूं, तो वो खुद ही उनकी पिक्सल वैल्यूज और जो डिस्टेंस है वो सेट कर देता है. बिकॉज दिस इज माई फर्स्ट टॉप 3, तो मैंने टॉप 3 कॉर्नर से कंस्ट्रेंट कर दिया, तो मेरा कंपोनेंट यहाँ पे फिक्स्ड हो गया बड़ा जबरदस्त तरीके से. उसके बाद लेट्स जस्ट कम इनसाइड इट, एंड व्हाट आई कैन डू इज आई कैन कम इनसाइड द लेआउट एंड आई कैन यूज अ फ्रेम लेआउट. लेट मी ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप द फ्रेम लेआउट हियर इनसाइड दिस पर्टिकुलर कंपोनेंट, एंड विदाउट दिस फ्रेम लेआउट मैंने इसको थोड़ा छोटा कर दिया. अब फ्रेम लेआउट से मकसद ये कि मैं आपको बताता हूं मैं करना क्या चाह रहा हूं. देन आई कम बैक हियर इनसाइड इमेजेस, एंड फॉर एग्जांपल आई कैन यूज इस्लामाबाद. ठीक है, and I have Islamabad, Pakistan Islamabad, ये विंडो आ गई. ठीक है, I think I can go with this image, but I don't know ये अगर कॉपीराइट है तो फिर I would be bound not to use this. Pakistan Islamabad 4K. Let's just use this image for now. Okay, right click and I save this image, and again inside images I will use ISB save. So once this image says save, I will go into KARSCHI Karachi. And now I have Karachi available. Let me find a decent image for a Karachi. I think this would work fine. Save image and KARSCHI Karachi. And then I will, for example, go into Lahore, and I will get a decent images for Lahore. Maybe I would preferably use which image should I use? For Minar Pakistan उठा लेते हैं. ठीक है, save. In fact, इसमें this image would be. ठीक है, save image as LAHORE Lahore. उसके बाद PESHAWER. Now, in order to develop these things, you need to have these data banks of images and all these pictures so that you can use them clearly in your apps. तो थोड़ा बहुत survey and search हमें करना पड़ता. So let's just say I have these 4 images, so I can create the tile user interface very easily. ठीक है, उसके बाद व्हाट आई डू इज कि आई सेलेक्ट ऑल दीज 4 images, ISB कराची, लाहौर, पिशावर, कंट्रोल सी, कॉपी देम फ्रॉम माय ब्राउजर, come back into Android, go back into drawables and control V। तो एक साथ ही मैंने इन सबको जो है पेस्ट कर दिया। ओके, तो ये सारी इमेजेस मेरे पास यहाँ पे आ गई। अब पिशावर की जिफ कुछ इसने क्वालिटी गलत दे दी, आई थिंक फॉर्मेट सही नहीं बैठा, तो लेट्स जस्ट वेरी क्विकली गो बैक इनटू इट, फाइल, सेव इमेज एज, मेक श्योर इट इज इन JPG, PESHA, पिशावर, hit save, now it's in a proper format, control C, go back into Android Studio, and in your drawables control V, okay, peshawar.gb, okay, okay, so now for the with the same name I have 2 images, उसने ऑटोमेटिकली फोल्डर बना दिया। इसको मैंने उठाया और इसको मैं हम उठा के डिलीट भी कर सकते हैं, तो मैंने इसको उठा के राइट क्लिक करके डिलीट कर दिया कि भाई वो पुरानी इमेज डिलीट कर दो और मुझे फजीलत से दे दो। आई थिंक इस्लामाबाद के साथ भी सेम हरकत हो गई। इफ आई कैन जस्ट एडिट इट एंड क्रॉप, थोड़ी सी इसको हम छोटा कर लेते हैं। अरे भाई इतना हो जा, क्रॉप फाइल, सेव एज, और मेकिंग श्योर इट इज इन JPEG, सेव। नाउ इफ आई गो बैक हियर, अभी भी जिफ में, फाइल, सेव एज, JPG, वे कहाँ सेव हो रही है भाई? अच्छा, ये सेव ही कहीं और हो रही थी। सो आई गो बैक इनटू माय डी ड्राइव, इसमें नहीं था, सॉरी, दिस वन, images, okay, let me just copy this, go back into my Android, paste। ठीक है, तो बेसिकली हमने सारी तस्वीरें यहाँ पे लेकर आ गए, जो खराब थी उसको डिलीट कर दिया। मेक श्योर नेट से डाउनलोड करते हैं आपकी तस्वीर सही फॉर्मेट में इंस्टॉल हुई है। उसके बाद फिर मैं वापस विजेट्स में आ जाऊंगा, मैं इमेज में चला गया, इस इमेज को उठाया और मैंने इस फ्रेम लेआउट के अंदर डाला। ना फ्रेम लेआउट इज अगेन हमें बड़ा सक्सेसफुली अलाउ करता है कि हम मल्टीपल मतलब नेस्टेड लेआउट्स बना सकते हैं। मैं भी आपको शो कर रहा हूँ उसी तरीके से। तो मैंने ISB तस्वीर सेलेक्ट की, क्लिक ओके किया, तो मेरे पास इस्लामाबाद की तस्वीर यहाँ पे आई। उसके बाद टेक्स्ट में आ गए और वो भी फ्रेम लेआउट के अंदर मैंने रख दिया। ठीक है, इस फ्रेम लेआउट को उठा के हमने यहाँ पे ऑर्गेनाइज किया। बल्कि एक मिनट, इसको मैं फिर सेट करता हूँ पहले से हिसाब से। ठीक है, तो ये मेरे पास इस्लामाबाद आ गया। इसी तरीके से व्हाट आई विल डू इज के आई विल copy and paste few more things, control C, control V, and I will place the components here। अब मुझे इसकी सिर्फ थोड़ी साइजिंग एडजस्ट करनी है अपनी फ्रेम की। इसको छोटा किया तो वो ऑटोमेटिकली देखो एडजस्ट हो गया हमारे पास। ओके, ये वाला एक्स्ट्रा हो गया, इसको करो डिलीट। ये फ्रेम लेआउट आ गया इधर, ये फ्रेम लेआउट आ गया इधर। ठीक है, इसको थोड़ा सा हमने किया छोटा, इसको थोड़ा सा हमने किया बड़ा। अरे भाई सेलेक्ट हो जा, फ्रेम लेआउट। ठीक है, तो नाउ यू सी वी हैव 2 लेआउट पिक्चर्स अवेलेबल। सो आइडिया यही है that once I click on this free layout, I have basically 2 pictures available। Now I select this and I can change this drawable from here। इधर से सेलेक्ट करके इसको मैंने फॉर एग्जांपल कराची कर दिया तो तस्वीर चेंज हो गई। फिर यही चीज हमने यहाँ पे कर दी फ्रेम लेआउट। तो मैं अगेन वापस आ जाऊंगा, आई थिंक ये उसमें से निकल गया लेआउट में से। ओके, फिर मैंने ये फ्रेम से बाहर आ गया, एक और इमेज यहाँ पे रख दी, इसको उठा के फॉर एग्जांपल हमने पिशावर दे दिया। उप्स, इसीलिए हम उसको फ्रेम्स में रखते हैं। ठीक है, इसी तरह से फिर मैंने एक और इमेज बना दी यहाँ पे। दिस टाइम आई विल जस्ट गिव इट लाहौर। अगेन बहुत बड़ी इमेज, तो इसको छोटा किया, यहाँ पे ले आए। ओके, और इसी तरह से उसको हमने छोटा कर दिया। नाउ द आइडिया इज के यू गेट द आइडिया थोड़ा सा, कि हमने तस्वीरें ऑर्गेनाइज करनी है, तस्वीर रखनी है। मैं इनके नीचे टेक्स्ट भी रखना चाह रहा था एक्चुअली, रेटिंग और कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन, तो थोड़ा सा हम इसको नीचे भी रख सकते हैं। अब इसीलिए समटाइम्स जो है ना, कंपोनेंट्स को हमें ऑर्गेनाइज करने में आसानी आती है। सो इफ आई सेलेक्ट दिस, इसको थोड़ा सा मैं फ्रेम लेआउट को उठा के यहाँ पे ले आया। इस फ्रेम लेआउट के अंदर भी हम वही करेंगे कि मुझे इस बटन पे क्विकली क्लिक कर दिया, इधर क्लिक कर दिया, सो दैट दे बेसिकली आर कंस्ट्रेंड। अरे यार हो जा मेरे भाई, माय माउस समटाइम्स जस्ट डजंट रियली वर्क। Okay, and similarly if I select this image, same thing I will do within this is, I think that's it. I select this image, here we go. इसमें क्यों एरर आ रहा है अभी तक? डुप्लीकेट आईडीज विद इन अ सिंगल लेआउट। अच्छा ठीक है मेरे भाई, इसको हम 2 कर दिया। मैंने एक्चुअली डुप्लीकेट किया था इसको, शायद उस वजह से इसकी आईडी चेंज नहीं हुई, ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्ट। इसको 22 कर दो फिलहाल। इसीलिए समटाइम्स फिर लीनियर लेआउट जो है वो आसान हो जाता है। सो इफ यू सेलेक्ट दिस, यहाँ भी आई थिंक वही बता रहा है कि आपकी, इसको भी मैंने वो कर दिया, बिकॉज इन दिस केसेस लीनियर लेआउट जो है ना वो ऑटोमेटिकली कंपोनेंट्स को ऑर्गेनाइज कर देता है। इमेज व्यू में क्या नजर आ रहा है भाई? अगेन एरर आ रहा है। Within layout, ID should be unique since otherwise find UIB can return an unexpected view. कुछ तो गड़बड़ है। अच्छा, इसको पूरे को करो डिलीट। इस्लामाबाद भाई को फिलहाल इमेज की ही सूरत में ले आओ। ठीक है, मैं एक्चुअली फ्रेम लेआउट पे जाना चाह रहा था, बट फ्रेम नहीं चला अभी फिलहाल। So very quickly we have this interface completely set up for us. Now what we need to do is we need to go back into our main activity so that when I click on this button मेरे पास ये वाली ऑप्शन अवेलेबल हो जाए। ठीक है, तो हम उस मेन एक्टिविटी के अंदर चले जाएंगे। ये क्या हो गया? पूरा पैनल ही ऊपर चला गया। ठीक है, ये पता नहीं क्या हो गया यार। इफ आई सेलेक्ट बैक हियर, ठीक, तो मेन एक्टिविटी में आ गए। यहाँ पे आने के बाद बेसिकली जो ये बटन लिखा था, इस बटन के नीचे आके हम एक क्लास बनाएंगे इंटेंट की। ठीक है, नाउ इंटेंट बेसिकली मींस के व्हाट योर एक्शंस आर रिलाइंग ऑन, व्हाट यू बेसिकली वांट टू डू। तो मैंने यहाँ पे कह दिया इंटेंट इज इक्वल टू न्यू इंटेंट ब्रैकेट क्लोज ब्रैकेट स्टार्ट गेट एप्लीकेशन कॉन्टेक्स्ट कॉमा मेन नहीं एक्टिविटी सिटी नेम डॉट क्लास। ठीक, str start activi start activity, this one, और intent। ठीक है, so now what I did was basically in order to show one page from second, हम लोग ये थोड़ा सा कोड लिखते हैं। इंटेंट के बारे में मैं नेक्स्ट क्लास में फिर तफसील में जाऊंगा कि इस फंक्शन क्लास का फंक्शन क्या है, लेकिन बेसिकली ये क्या करती है कि इंटेंट इन अदर वर्ड्स जनरल टर्म में समझो आपकी इरादे को जाहिर करती है कि आपका इरादा क्या है। आपका इरादा ये कि जब ये बटन क्लिक हो तो मेरा नेक्स्ट स्क्रीन आ जाए, तो उसके लिए हम इंटेंट को कॉल करते हैं। दे आर लाइक एक्टिविटीज, इवेंट्स के तौर पे ये बेसिकली काम करते हैं, बट इंटेंट्स टॉक विद अदर इवेंट्स इन अदर वर्ड्स। ठीक है, इंटेंट एक ऐसी चीज है जो इवेंट्स और एक्टिविटीज के साथ बात करता है कि यार आप क्या एक्टिविटी हो, कैसे परफॉर्म करना है आपको। तो हमने कहा कि न्यू इंटेंट बनाओ गेट एप्लीकेशन कॉन्टेक्स्ट मींस, क्योंकि हम ऑलरेडी एक इनर क्लास के अंदर काम कर रहे हैं, तो इसीलिए डायरेक्ट दिस नहीं लिखते, हम इनर क्लास के अंदर काम कर रहे हैं, जहां पहले हमने टोस्ट बनाया था वहीं पे इसका लिखा है। इनर क्लास में रहते हुए आई हैव टोल्ड दिस दैट get the current application context, whichever my current application is running. Within that application, you would find activity city name. The next activity that I had used, dot class. Dot class means this is dot class file that we will create. So it will get an intent from this dot activity class. It will get its Java file, Java class file, and assign it to intent variable. Then start activity is a default method that we use to call and execute that particular event. If everything checks out nicely, I should be getting this code. Now, if I come back here, it says missing constraints in the layout. So I have a missing constraint for this bloody guy. I come back here, missing constraints. So let me just complete the constraints for this thing. Okay. And hopefully all the errors are corrected. Let me just re-execute this code. So it's building again. And then what it will do is once we have this app, we click on this button, I should get this particular page available. So idea was very simple. I have a Pakistan app. This can be my splash screen, but ये splash screen का idea नहीं है. Just a simple screen बनाइए. Next पे click किया तो मेरे पास यहाँ पे screen display हो जाएगी. इसने कहा कि भाई there are certain errors changes were not applied, modification to Android manifest requires an app restart. अच्छा ठीक है, उसने कहा कुछ apps के अंदर मसला है, आपको इसको restart करके इज्जत से चलाओ. तो इसको हमने किया stop. And let's just wait for it to end. And यहाँ तो कोई एरर नहीं है, यहाँ पे भी कोई एरर नहीं है, इधर भी कोई एरर नहीं है. तो किधर एरर की बात कर रहा है? अरे टाइम ऊपर हो गया यार. ठीक, जस्ट लेट्स जस्ट वेट फॉर फ्यू सेकंड्स जब तक ये स्टार्ट हो जाए. तो वी जस्ट सी दिस एक्टिविटी. Okay, now meanwhile it starts. Now what you all have to do is do the similar thing. Work with this kind of app. Create a simple tourism app in which you can have any place, any location. For example, take one location and give more descriptions about it. अगर आप अपने शहर की बात कर रहे हैं तो take your own city and list all the places and information, whatever you want to do about that city in your app. ठीक है, I will try to give more description to it. Let me just run it. So for example, अगर मैं पाकिस्तान टूर की यहीं पे बात करूं तो I wanted कि now when I click on Islamabad, it gives me another list that for within Islamabad, what do you want to view? Whether you want to view ठीक है, whether you want to view restaurants in Islamabad or places to visit or hotels. If I click on places to visit, then on the third screen all Islamabad की places आ जाए. मैं उन place पे click करूं तो 3 4 5 screens मेरे पास आ जाएंगी that allow me to work within this app. ठीक है. So yes, thank you जो BSIT के students थे. I know you have a second class में over हो गया, थोड़ा ज्यादा हो गया, slow चीजें हो गई, पता नहीं क्यों. Just 1 minute, I want to see के बटन मेरा काम कर रहा है नहीं कर रहा. ठीक है, launch successful आ गया. ठीक है. So now you see this कि I have this window available. Obviously इसके भी मुझे layouting सही करनी है. If I click on back, तो I go back into my back window. I click on let's visit Pakistan, बटन क्लिक आ गया और मेरा बटन क्लिक का नेक्स्ट विंडो आ गया. ओके, सो होपफुली थोड़ा बहुत ये समझ में आ गई हो. मैं ये कोड भी शेयर कर दूंगा. आई विल ट्राई टू कंटिन्यू फ्रॉम हेयर फिर नेक्स्ट क्लास और हम इसको और फर्दर थोड़ा सा काम करेंगे. एंड सिमिलरली इसी तरह की मैं 2-3 और एप्स बाकी क्लासेस में भी बनवाऊंगा, तो वो भी मैं वीडियोस आपके साथ शेयर कर दूंगा. ओके, so thank you for watching and we will continue from next